Hello, people of YouTube. I have been out of touch for a little while because just recovering from some crazy things we've been going through. Anyway, so I thought I would check in and let you know that I feel like I'm coming out of not a dark tunnel, but I would say a dim tunnel that I've been going through for 2 years, and then the last 6 months have been crazy, etc., etc. However, I am solidly back on track and feeling great. So I wanted to send an update and talk about some things that are helping me in case they are helping any of you as I claw my way to some sense of feeling like I've got a few percentage points of my life together. We'll see. So I had been suffering a lot of anxiety over the past couple of years, and there were real things that caused the anxiety. My sister got cancer, and we'd been having some just day-to-day stress. We run our own business. There's lots of stresses that come with that, and I was losing sleep and everything. And I had started carnivore, I guess, about 2 years ago. 3 years ago, but have been very flawed on it, and if you've been following my channel, if somebody asked me to describe my diet, I would say it's carnivore plus cheating. So let me know if that applies to you. It has definitely applied to me. So it's like I've wanted to say I'm carnivore, but just ignore any visible imperfections you see in me, because I have a carb addiction. I have some stress, and sometimes I eat my feelings, etc., etc. So, but I feel like I've done something that has changed things for me, and I'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. In any case, so our business was causing stress. And then in July of 2024, my husband got contacted by a former yoga student of his. And this guy was about to end up homeless and needed a place to stay. And we had just become fully empty nesters back in April, I guess, or whenever Easter was. Our younger son moved out on Good Friday. I stood in the doorway of his room. We moved into this house when my oldest one was 9 months old. And after my youngest moved his stuff out, I stood in the doorway of this room, and I thought, this is the first time since we've lived in this house that there has not been a bed in this room. So I was a little misty-eyed, but when your kids get older and they have their own schedules and they're bigger, and my son's not overweight, but he's just a bigger guy, and they take up space, they walk heavy, and then it's time to move on. Sort of like when you're pregnant, and like you love being pregnant, but then at some point it is time to evacuate the baby. So it was time to evacuate my baby, even though he was a grown-up at this time. And so he moved about half an hour away. Both of my sons live about half an hour away, and they come home once a week or so to visit us and have a meal. And that's so nice. In any case, so my husband had pulled some stuff from a storage space from when we had to empty the yoga studio because the building got destroyed by a tornado, and a few weeks after the tornado is when COVID hit. So this room ended up being a storage haven for everything. But then we had the middle bedroom, which I had been using as an office. You guys don't really care about all this, but I've been using it as an office. I evacuated my stuff, crammed it in my younger son's old room, whatever. And we made that middle bedroom a guest bedroom so that this friend or former yoga student of my husband's could stay. We thought a few days while he gets back on his feet. Okay. So I want to say up front that I'm going to discuss the difficulties of this with the full transparency that this guy was the best house guest he knew to be. He tried to keep to himself in the middle bedroom. He did a lot of work on the computer and such. So he was very neat, very tidy, very quiet. Tried to, if he felt like we were having a family dinner that needed to be a family dinner, he would wait till later to eat, and he did everything he knew to do to be a good guest. He walked our dog, took out our trash, cleaned the kitchen, everything. He was not in a position to contribute to groceries or utilities or anything like that. So he did everything he could, and I so appreciate that. But just the fact of somebody being in your house for a while who's not in your family, that starts to get stressful. And I have a higher anxiety response to normal everyday things, I think, than maybe a lot of people. There can be something just normal in your life, and I will be on the inside freaking out, but my outside and my spiritual life knows everything will work out. So I'm just like, everything will work out, and the inside I'm like, ah. Anyway, so that's kind of how it was. And this guy ended up having to be at our house all the way till the 3rd week of January. So that was over 6 months of him being here. He started job hunting the next day after he came to stay at our house at 10 o'clock at night. Starting the next morning, he started looking for work, and he had some, contractor jobs, little jobs here and there that weren't paying him much money, but he had a lot of things he was needing to take care of. So I'm not going to say this guy's name or give too many identifying details because it's his private life, and that's fine. But he did everything he could. He got a job, I think, in September. He needed to start saving some money and getting back on top of things. We encouraged him, listen, feel at home while you're here, because if you feel stressed when you're here, that's going to inhibit your ability to feel confident to move along. He also doesn't have a car. And that means that, my husband would take him to the bus stop or, that kind of thing. So that was a whole other situation. Why am I telling you all of this? Just for 6 months, more than 6 months, honestly, I felt then displaced from my home. I felt really homeless. I felt like I couldn't come home and relax. And, that's on me. And it's also part of being human because, again, this guy did everything that he could. And he knew that we were being very generous. He knew that, but and that he was always very appreciative. But man, the anxiety that built up on top of the 2 years prior of the anxiety of having to run your own business in a world gone absolutely topsy-turvy. Really, I felt like I hit a breaking point. And the day that he was supposed to move out, he was supposed to be moving out, right around the time I was going to be getting out of church. And I noticed that I checked my Ring camera notifications, and I noticed that my husband hadn't left with him to take him to his new apartment. So I invented errands to run and stayed away from the house because I thought, I can't go back home one more time with somebody else in my house. I can't deal with it. I can't. And so I touched base with my husband, and yes, they were about to be going. So by later that afternoon, he had moved out. He had moved into his new apartment, and I'm so happy for him. He's got a job he likes, and he's got an apartment, and he's made the next steps in his life. And he asked my husband, if there was a way to repay him, and there's no way he can repay us. And honestly, Jesus gave us our house, and we had a really tiny grocery budget, and we felt the pain of feeding somebody else in the house, but Jesus gave us every penny of that. And so it is not something we feel like we ought to be asking for repayment, because this is something we both believe that the Lord asked us to do. And even though it was hard, so I kind of told Jesus, I'm going to do what you told me, but I am going to whine to you about it if that's okay with you, because I'm flawed. And thank you in advance, Jesus, for my whining. Because, the whole children of Israel, they just whined, but God let them through anyway. So that's what was going on in my heart. In any case, I'm happy for this guy. My husband just said, in repayment, you can make sure that you're never in this situation again. that you take care of yourself and you plan for yourself. This guy was in his late 30s. I would have had more patience, I think, if this had been somebody who was 23 or 24. I would have felt more maternal, but really I felt kind of invaded. And I think he could pick up on that. But do I regret him being here? Do I regret us letting him stay at our house? No, because the Lord asked us to. And it's very clear to me I was supposed to be doing this. And that this was an opportunity to really lay bare and expose to myself sort of my own heart, the things that are exacerbating my sense of anxiety, etc. So I learned a lot about myself, but I was saying to God, okay, I get it, but can this guy get moved out so that I can then, work on myself? So the Lord is so good. So that guy's out. And I had been coping with a lot of this. All of my emotional sort of steel fencing in order to cope with carb cravings and such went out the window. I never binged or anything like that, but I did, like, when you work in an office. I got a job at my church office last spring. When you work in an office and people start bringing Christmas treats and all of that, it's just, I would say no, and then sneak a cookie or, whatever, and or sneak that. I'm not going to name any of the other trigger foods that were brought into the office. And I was like, this is not right. And it really just felt like my brain was, like Kelly Hogan says, lizard brain, taken over by something else demanding me to eat that. But that being said, I take personal responsibility for all of that. But it threw me off track. And then I got in an anxiety cycle, which I think some of you might understand, this anxiety cycle where you're eating carbs and it's causing inflammatory responses in the brain and elsewhere. And then I can't sleep. I was tossing and turning overnight. Still other things connected to running your business that cause all this anxiety and stress. And that was the cycle of me then not having the fortitude to stay on track with my diet, and then that making me less able to have fortitude. You know what I'm saying? This horrible cycle. And I was like, I have got to get this together. And I hit the breaking point really on January 19th. We had a potluck at my church, and I volunteered to be in the fellowship hall to receive everybody's stuff, all their meatballs and casseroles and all of that. And most of those things are not a problem for me. I'm not really tempted by that. But then somebody brought in a particular dessert, and I was like, oh man. And I ate two. They were little special kind of brownies, like caramel, something, salted caramel brownies. And I had two of them. And then I thought, this is the end. But I need help to do this. And I had been watching carnivore Dr. Lisa Wedeman. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. And she has been doing these carb sober Sundays. And this phrase carb sober stuck in my mind. And I thought, I need to treat this like that for right now. I need to treat this really like an addiction that is for real in order to break my brain of all of this. So somebody, was it Kip or Carnivore Kip? I can't remember who. Somebody that I follow and kind of feel like I'm friends with on YouTube had some kind of counter. And so I looked in the app store for a sobriety clock, and I found an app called Nomo, Nomo. And it's created by somebody, a man who's in recovery. It is free. He does ask for people to consider donating, but he does this free kind of as a service and a ministry to other people in any kind of recovery. And I was looking through there going, oh, maybe I have more than one thing I need to be recovering from, because there was anger. And there was all of these categories of clocks that you can make. And so I made one, I made two in the food category. I had also gone back to drinking Diet Coke, which I knew was bad for me, but I had kind of gotten re-addicted to that. So I made a clock that I named Carb Sober, and I made a clock that I named Diet Coke. Maybe I did the Diet Coke one the next day. I can't remember. I just know that on Sunday, February 19th at 4:16 p.m., is when I started carb sobriety. And on this app, it's really cool that you can check in. And when you check in, you hold your finger on the circle on your phone for 2 seconds. And this little dot goes around a circle. Bing. And it's doesn't make that sound, but you can see it do it. And it is like a little dopamine hit, because part of this is dopamine management and all of that. So I was having to check in a few times a day for the first few days, and also with Diet Coke, because I'd so gotten back into that rhythm. And then I did one called Peace, because I realized that I had gotten into this anxiety cycle where I would start to think about some way somebody had upset me or angered me, or worried that I had upset or angered somebody else, and it caused my brain to just go into this little spiral. So I thought, this is a habit. It's an addiction. It's another brain addiction. And so I created one called Peace. And so I've been trying to catch myself every time my brain starts to get into this spiral or this cycle, to go check in on that clock and hold my finger down on that check-in thing for a couple seconds and let my brain reset. There's a fourth one, and I can't remember what the fourth clock was that I made. In any case, they've all been helpful. And so today's February 3rd, Monday, February 3rd. So Sunday, January 19th is when I started carb sobriety. And then since then, I have not had a Diet Coke. I have not had a carb. Well, I'm not going to say I've not had a carb. I mean, I've had an egg, and I had gotten a taco salad at a restaurant, and it was a carnivore taco salad, but there was a part of a chip in there that I realized when I bit down on it. I mean, so have I had a carbohydrate? Yes. Have I been carb sober? Yes, I've been carb sober. In other words, I haven't let a trigger make me eat a cookie or something like that. So that's what's going on there. I had also started to not look great. My face was looking saggy. My face was looking dark. I needed, my hair was looking ridiculous. I had stopped dyeing my hair, but the ends were kind of this dyed brown that was becoming obviously brassy, reddish dyed brown. Not at all the original color I dyed it. And then gray had been growing out. And I just looked like somebody who did not have a grip. And my face was getting blotchy. I was just like, I was getting frozen shoulder, I think is what it is, which is related to menopause. More about that in a quick second. Trigger finger. I mean, my joints were hurting. My joints in my right hand were hurting. I crochet as a side gig. I was just a wreck. Okay, a wreck. And I thought, I got to get this all together. So I did absolutely clean up my diet, and I've been eating as much red meat as I can. So it's like red meat first. And then sometimes a little egg. I seem to have overcome an egg sensitivity that I developed last year. We'll see if that can last. And some butter. So really beef and butter, little bacon. So I'm accidentally on BBB&E, not on purpose, BBB&E. I don't think I've had any. I might have had a little heavy cream, and I might have had a little cream cheese, but I've not had enough dairy in the amounts to exacerbate joints and problems like that related to that. Too much dairy definitely has been causing me problems, so I've cut way back on that, and I'm feeling a lot better. So I had started January, the first week or so of January, great. But all the leftover goodies that were in the church office, and this guy he was like close to moving out, but not moving out, close to moving out, but not moving out. Things kept happening with the apartments, and I was just losing my mind. And finally, in fact, I think the day of the potluck, the day he moved out. I think it might have been. I can't recall right now. In any case, it all kind of cleared on that day, and my joints in my right hand feel a lot better now. I had lost a little bit of weight the first week of January, like 3 pounds, and then things went topsy-turvy again. I haven't weighed myself since, but today I put on some pants that are sort of the telltale pants, and they fit great, even a little loose around the waist. So I'll be weighing myself again soon. We'll see what that looks like. I need to get back into regular weigh-ins, need to check my ketones, blood glucose, all of that kind of thing, and get really back on track. So I'm back on track. I'm feeling good. I went to get my hair cut for the first time in over 2 years, or right at 2 years, and got the grays blended. You can't really see now because my hair's all whatever. One of these, I'll show y'all the reveal. Well, some of that is the streaking, that she did, because this is real. This is my real gray right here. And then she cut a few inches off. Look at that. That's fun. Let's do that. That's fun. Okay. In any case, and then she kind of lightened and blended whatever. I don't know if y'all care. Maybe I'll do one with my hair down and y'all can kind of see what my hairdresser did. And it's not really in my budget to do these kinds of things regularly, but she said I won't need another touch up for probably 8 months or something like that. So I feel good about that. And just having that done, I felt like back to getting to some sort of normal. My fingernails are getting strong again and even and clear. I don't want to get back in the trap of constant manicures. When I was doing manicures, I was always having to do them because the nail bed would get damaged and it would look bad and I have to go back in. I don't want to do that anymore. I want my nails to look nice naturally because I cannot be in the manicure cycle. It's just ridiculous. It's time consuming. It's expensive. So I've done that. I've picked up a couple of new makeup items. I'm really kind of a simplistic gal, but I thought my skin, I'm gonna be 56 in a couple of months and my skin needs additional help. So I went to Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSE Metics, like they give to charity and such. Thrive Cosmetics, let me know if y'all use them. They're not sponsoring this. I don't have any sponsors. My little bit YouTube channel. I've really been enjoying their makeup. So I've added a little by little. For several months I've been using an eye primer so that my eye makeup doesn't make me look like a drunk hooker by 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that really helped. And their eyeliner also stays on and stays put all day. Their mascara is amazing. And I got their face brightener primer, which is amazing. And then I got their blurred whatever, it's their foundation. I haven't worn foundation since high school. And I was looking at my skin the other day and I thought, oh my gosh, you don't look great, Nana. So, and I was starting to get, I've got freckles. I naturally have freckles. I'm looking at myself now. I naturally have freckles, but they were just starting to look like big splotches with a hyperpigmentation. And so I got that blurred something. I can't remember what it's called. But if you go to Thrive Cosmetics and type in foundation blur, and you'll probably find it if you're interested in something like that. The first time I used it, I put on too much and it was ridiculous. I looked insane. But then the second day I used like a third, just a little dot and it goes all over. It's great. So I did that. So I'm just doing these little things to help myself feel more put together, back together, more confident. I'm happy that I'm fitting back into some clothes. I have an appointment. My lady doctor, retired in December and she was great, but we couldn't get me on an estrogen that worked for me. And so I was on estrogen for probably 6 months, and this was a year ago, and I just became kind of angry and upset and more anxious on the estrogen, and I thought, well, maybe my body just needs to even out. And then when the prescription ran out, I called her and I said, this is what's going on, and I've gained 20 pounds on the estrogen, and I don't like this at all. And she said, okay, well, estrogen is protective against many forms of cancer and other types of decline, but some people don't do well on it, and maybe you are just one of those people. So get off of it for a few weeks, and then we'll talk about it again. Well, after that, she had decided to close her practice. She is still participating in the world as a doctor, but she's going to, I think, focus on menopause education and research and not be in private practice. So that's what's going on with her. She was a great doctor. I really loved her. But I have found another doctor. And when I checked out this doctor's Instagram page, she was really focusing on protein and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, well, this doctor is somewhere in the area of my perspective. I don't know how she feels about carnivore, but she's really into protein for women. So let's go from there. So I'm going to check her out, but I can't get in until end of February. So we'll see about that. We'll have my levels done again. I want to ask her if I had been on bioidentical estrogen in my mid-30s. I don't think that was right for me at that time. I'm just, for many reasons I won't get into here. But now that I'm 55, I am having many menopause symptoms. Hot flashes, this shoulder. Dr. Instagram, I'm going to fix my scarf. Let's fix this. There we go. How about that? Do I look a little French? No. I do have a lot of French blood. I found out from 23andMe, but I do not feel French. I feel Irish to me. But in case, that's, who cares? So my shoulder hurts sometimes, and that keeps me awake. And I've got trigger finger, which is an inflammation, I think, further down in the tendon, and it's really bothering me. So some other things that I believe are related to menopause. So I'm going to talk to her. If I took the estradiol in a patch form, will that make a difference? If I took it in a cream form, if I try to go bioidentical again, the one from my previous doctor was not bioidentical. The one from my doctor that I had in my mid-30s was bioidentical, but he wanted me to be a low-fat vegan, and we all know how I feel about that. No, thank you, doctor. So we're going to see. We're going to see what this lady says about estrogen. So, and a couple of other things I think I want to try. So we'll see. I've already had a reduction in inflammation just being super clean for like 3 weeks or whatever. But this shoulder, I think it's really related to hormone changes, hormone decline at this age. And I really want to stay vibrant. And I'm caught in this additional cycle, which is that I'm having sleep deprivation. And now when you're really physically active during the day, you sleep better. You just do. You sleep better. But now I work. I have a part-time job. I work between 20 and 25 hours a week. And that takes up my time. And so really the best time that I have would be in the morning before work. I don't have to be there till 9. It's 5 minutes from my house if I can just get up in time. But I can't get up in time because I didn't sleep well the night before. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in this catch-22. And so I need a little bit of help. And I will let y'all know what happens with that in case you are looking for similar help. In any case, I do feel a lot of these stresses with our business are starting to turn around. My husband's business is starting to pick back up. My little crochet business side gig has picked up. I did really well in that last year, and I just can't believe that. I'm so happy that my little arts and craft thing did really well last year, and I continued to get orders after Christmas for the first time. And so that was a blessing. And maybe that was the Lord blessing me a little bit from letting this stranger stay in my house. You know, maybe. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. So that both of my sons are doing well. And they are paying their own bills. They are managing themselves well. They're setting themselves up for a bright future. And, you know, you worry about your kids. And when they're a toddler, you worry. And when they're in grade school, you worry. But man, when they're in their early 20s and they're kind of on their own, and it's like, okay, they're on their own, but the consequences of bad decisions are just gut-wrenching. And so, you know, I mean, my kids are great, but I'm like, I want to know everything. I don't want to know. But there's this part of me like, you know, is he really working hard? Are they not getting drunk? You know, there's things I want to make sure they're setting themselves up for a happy future. and I just have to let that go. And they, you know what, everything looks to be wonderful with them, and I can kind of let go of that a little bit. I still have some other sources of stress I need to deal with, and the personal habits that I have, and that are just dumb. They're dumb human habits that I won't get into. But so in any case, I'm curious if any of you experience these things, these little things that are tiny but a little self-destructive and can cause you little bits of anxiety throughout the day, little bits of self-sabotage. You know, little ways you sabotage yourself. So I'm dealing with those, and I'm really praying for a season of calm, that 2025 can be a season of calm. And I have a lot of friends losing their minds right now, and you don't have to. You do not have to. I'm not losing mine over many larger events happening. You can choose not to be losing your mind, even if you don't like whatever's going on. I mean, a lot of what they're upset about, I'm not. But, you know, I hope to be a good friend, and I hope to get myself in the right headspace to be a good friend. I want to be a good friend, and I want to show the light of the Lord to people. So that's what I want for 2025. That's my check-in. I've been talking for about half an hour. I'm not going to edit this video. I am in my youngest son's old room right now. I did clear out a lot of the bins that had my husband's storage from his old yoga studio. A lot of it we just didn't need anymore, and I consolidated a lot and put it in the area of the house where he's writing his book. He's writing a book, and it's going to be amazing. I hope it is finished this year and take steps toward publishing. I'll keep y'all up to date on that. He's a brilliant writer, and I'm so proud of him. In any case, so I'm in, and I do this crochet business, and I'm going to give you a little peek back here. This is also my yarn room. You see that? I have a whole wall of shelves full of yarn. I'm getting rid of some of it, but some of it I keep because I buy it on sale, and I use it to stock myself for the year for markets that I go to, and I have an online crochet shop. So that's what this yarn room is. And then I have a little desk. I've not had a place in my house to work in 2 or 3 years, really, because once we lost the studio space, my husband had to work really from home, and I need privacy to concentrate. Like, if he's even at the house, I can't concentrate. And I haven't had my own real space in a long time. And so when my youngest son moved out, I rearranged the room. I've got a computer, I've got a little desk, I've got some little storage cabinets, and I've got yarn shelving. And anyway, I'm happy. And I told my youngest son, and I showed him what I'd done with his room, and he said, "Mom, I know that you were a little sad when I moved out, and what I wanted to tell you at the time was me moving out was going to be really good for you." He just told me that a couple weeks ago, and I kind of want to cry. He's such a sweetheart. I love that boy very much. I love both of my sons. So, all right, that's it. I will let y'all go. I'm not going to edit this video. That's my update. If you have gone through anything similar, I'd love to hear your story. I love you all, and it's so good to catch up. Watch Cassie and Larry's videos if you aren't already. Dave, semi-retired Bob, Dave Mack is semi-retired Bob, Kelly Hogan, Carnivore Kip, all these people. I'm sure I'm leaving out somebody that I feel close to, but I feel like I know them all in person already. I just love them all. So check them out and keep up to date on what they're posting if you can. Many of you are, I'm sure. I love y'all. Have a great 2025. Bye-bye.